Success is a word that shines like a diamond in our minds. It represents achievement, respect, fulfillment, and ultimately, freedom. But success, as inspiring and sought after as it is, has a price tag attached to it, one that most people are unaware of, unwilling to acknowledge, or simply refuse to pay. The price of success is sacrifice. And in a world where shortcuts and comfort zones have become the norm, the concept of sacrifice feels like an unwelcome guest at the table of ambition. But I am here to remind you that without sacrifice, success is nothing more than a daydream. Without giving something up, you will never be able to rise above the crowd. There is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs, and each step is built on something you are willing to give up in order to climb. The truth is, we live in a culture that celebrates the result but ignores the process. We cheer the champion, but we don't see the thousands of invisible hours behind the scenes. We admire the entrepreneur, but we rarely talk about the sleepless nights, the missed family dinners, the friendships strained, and the unshakable loneliness that often comes with chasing a dream that no one else can see but you. Sacrifice is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. And unless you're willing to cross that bridge, no amount of talent, no amount of luck, no amount of opportunity will get you there. Talent might open the door, but sacrifice keeps it open long enough for you to walk through. Everyone wants to succeed, but very few are willing to pay the price. That's because sacrifice is hard, it's painful. It's messy, it forces us to be uncomfortable. It means waking up earlier than others, working when everyone else is relaxing, saying no when your emotions scream yes. It means giving up what is good to reach for what is great. It means making decisions that others won't understand, because they're not on your path, they don't share your vision, and they haven't seen what you've seen in your imagination. Sacrifice demands discipline. It demands character, and above all, it demands belief. Belief that the future you're working for is worth more than the comfort you're leaving behind. Ask any great leader, any successful individual, and they'll all tell you the same story. Sacrifice was the price they paid. Whether it was sacrificing their time, their money, their ego, or even their relationships, success never came for free. It cost something, it always does. The question isn't whether success requires sacrifice. The question is, are you willing to give it? Are you willing to go through the pain of discipline now, so you don't suffer the pain of regret later? Because regret is far heavier than sacrifice. Regret eats away at your soul, sacrifice builds it. There's a misconception that sacrifice is about loss, that it's about what you're giving up. But what if we flipped that perspective? What if sacrifice wasn't about what you're losing, but what you're gaining? When you sacrifice sleeping in, you're gaining hours of productivity. When you sacrifice temporary pleasure, you're gaining long-term growth. When you sacrifice fear, you gain courage. When you sacrifice doubt, you gain clarity. Sacrifice is not about subtraction. It's about strategic exchange. You're trading what you want now for what you want most. And that trade is the foundation of every lasting success story. Success will test you. It will push you. It will stretch you to your limits. It will ask you to give up what's easy for what's right. And in that moment, when comfort whispers your name and fear stands in your path, you will have to choose. Do I fall back into what's familiar, or do I sacrifice what's safe to become who I was meant to be? That moment right there is the defining moment, not the victory, not the finish line, but the decision to sacrifice. That's where success begins. We must stop idolizing the result and start honoring the grind. We must celebrate the sacrifices, not just the wins, because the person who sacrifices is already a winner. Even before the world recognizes it, they've already shown what they're made of. They've already demonstrated that their vision is bigger than their distractions. And that's the person who will rise, that's the person who will last, because when you build success on the foundation of sacrifice, nothing can shake it. Sacrifice isn't just for the ambitious few, it's for anyone who wants to live a life of purpose, a life that matters, a life that leaves a legacy. Every single one of us has greatness inside of us, but greatness requires a cost, and you can't delegate that cost, you can't outsource it, you have to pay it. With your time, with your energy, with your focus, with your patience, and yes, sometimes even with your tears, but the reward is worth it. The reward is fulfillment. The reward is impact. The reward is becoming someone you're proud of. If you look at anyone who's made it to the top of their field, they will tell you about the sacrifices you never saw, the opportunities they turned down, the vacations they didn't take, the nights they spent working when everyone else was out. The moments of doubt they pushed through. Success isn't always glamorous. Most of the time it's lonely, it's quiet. It's filled with small, hard decisions that no one applauds, but those moments are where character is built, where resilience is forged, where leaders are made, and yet the world teaches us to avoid sacrifice, to take the easy road, to follow the crowd, but the crowd doesn't win, the crowd doesn't create, the crowd doesn't change the world. It's the ones who step out from the crowd, who say no to what's easy, who say yes to the hard road, that become the ones we admire, not because they were lucky, but because they were willing to sacrifice who they were for who they could become. So if you want to succeed, truly succeed, don't look for shortcuts, look for sacrifices. Ask yourself what you're willing to give up. Ask yourself what distractions you're ready to let go of. Ask yourself what habits you need to kill so your future can breathe. Because success isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters and letting go of what doesn't, and that means sacrifice. It always will. The good news is, sacrifice doesn't have to be a burden. It can be your superpower, because every time you sacrifice, you're telling the world, I believe in my vision. You're telling yourself, I'm worth it. And you're telling your future, I'm coming for you. That's powerful. That's uncommon. That's what separates the mediocre from the magnificent. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to be the fastest. You just need to be willing to go further, willing to work harder, willing to endure longer. That's the person who wins. You won't always see results right away. Sometimes you'll sacrifice and still feel like nothing is changing. That's when you need faith. That's when you need to remember that seeds take time to grow. That success is not instant, it's incremental. It's not a moment, it's a process. Every sacrifice is a seed. And if you keep watering it with consistency, with belief, with effort, one day it blooms. And that day will be worth every drop of sweat, every ounce of effort, every tear you cried when no one was watching. So I challenge you today, what are you willing to sacrifice? Are you willing to give up your excuses? Are you willing to walk away from comfort? Are you willing to trade distraction for discipline? Because that is the only way forward, the only way up, the only way through. Success doesn't go to the one who wants it most. It goes to the one who's willing to pay the price. Wanting isn't enough, wishing isn't enough, talking about it isn't enough. Sacrifice is the currency, sacrifice is the toll, and every time you pay it, you move closer to your destiny. Let others sleep. You sacrifice and grind, let others be entertained. You sacrifice and build, let others settle. You sacrifice and stretch, because one day, the ones who laughed at your sacrifices will wish they had your results. One day, your sacrifice will speak so loudly, no one will be able to ignore you. But for now, stay silent, stay hungry, stay focused. Let your actions speak. Let your sacrifices build the foundation for the life you know you're meant to live. Success is not a straight line. It's a winding road filled with detours, disappointments, and difficulty. But every obstacle is an opportunity to grow. Every setback is a setup for a comeback. And every sacrifice is a signal that you're still in the game. That you haven't quit, that you're still climbing, and as long as you keep climbing, success is inevitable. You are capable of extraordinary things, but only if you're willing to give up the ordinary. You are capable of breaking barriers, but only if you're willing to break habits. You are capable of greatness, but only if you're willing to give up what's good to reach for what's great. That is the essence of sacrifice. That is the path to success. So the next time you feel like quitting, remember why you started, remember the dream, remember the vision, and remember that you are not alone. Every person who has ever succeeded stood where you stand, faced the same doubts, felt the same fear, wrestled with the same decisions, but they made the choice to sacrifice, the choice to believe. the choice to rise, and now it's your turn. You won't always feel motivated. You won't always feel confident. Some days you'll question whether the sacrifice is worth it. Some days you'll want to walk away, not because you don't care, but because you care so much and it hurts. On those days, you must remember that feelings are fleeting, but your purpose is not. Sacrifice isn't built on how you feel in the moment. It's built on a commitment to the bigger picture, and that commitment is what separates those who wish from those who will. Greatness isn't reserved for the lucky. It's reserved for the consistent, the disciplined, the ones who show up when it's inconvenient, when it's lonely, when it's hard. Sacrifice doesn't always come in grand, dramatic moments. More often, it comes in the small decisions, when you choose the gym over the couch, the book over the screen, the late night grind over the early night comfort. These micro sacrifices, done daily, create macro impact over time. That's the secret, not one big leap, but many quiet daily choices that most people will never see. And yet, these sacrifices often go unnoticed by the world. No one claps for you when you choose water over soda. No one applauds when you spend an hour refining your craft instead of scrolling through your phone, but these are the moments that matter. These are the invisible bricks that build the foundation of your success. And one day, when the world sees the finished structure, they will call you lucky. They will call you gifted, but you will know the truth. You weren't lucky, you were consistent. You weren't gifted, you were willing. Success is often mistaken for destiny. People see winners and assume they were chosen, as if they were born with a golden ticket. But success isn't about destiny, it's about decision. It's about deciding every day to do what it takes. Deciding to say no to what's easy and yes to what's hard. Deciding to give up what others aren't willing to give up. And the more you decide that, the more powerful you become. Not because you gain external success right away, but because you begin to develop internal strength. And that strength is what carries you through the storms. Every sacrifice you make reinforces your identity. It tells your brain, I am the kind of person who does hard things. It shapes your mindset. It sharpens your focus, and over time that identity becomes unshakable. You become the kind of person who others look up to, not because you sought attention, but because you embodied integrity. You lived with intention. You gave up good things to create something great. That's what real leadership looks like. It's not about telling others what to do. It's about showing them through your own example, and there will be resistance. There will be moments where it feels like nothing's working, like you're giving so much and getting so little in return. That's when you need to remind yourself, sacrifice is a long game. Success doesn't come when you plant the seed. It comes when you water it, daily, patiently, faithfully, believing that something beautiful is happening beneath the surface. Trust the process. The sacrifice always produces fruit. It just takes time. And the people who keep going are the ones who eventually see the harvest. Don't compare your sacrifices to someone else's success. What you see on the surface of their life is not the full story. Every person you admire paid a price you didn't see. Every champion fought battles in the dark long before they stood in the light. So when you feel behind, remind yourself, you're not behind, you're in the middle. The middle is messy, the middle is hard. But the middle is also where transformation happens, where resilience is built, where champions are forged. Don't run from the middle, embrace it. People will tell you to slow down, to enjoy life, and yes, balance matters. Rest matters, but understand this. There's a difference between rest and avoidance, between balance and laziness. Some people preach balance because they're afraid of sacrifice. They're afraid of discomfort. But you're not afraid. You're built for more. You know that you were put here not just to exist, but to excel. And that means there will be seasons where sacrifice is required. That's not a punishment, it's a privilege. Because it means you're chasing something worth having. Every time you sacrifice, you're investing in your future. And the best part is, no one can take that investment from you. Not the economy, not the critics. Not the circumstances. What you earn through sacrifice is yours forever. The wisdom, the strength, the confidence, the unshakable belief in yourself. That's the true reward, not just the external success, but the internal transformation. Success isn't just what you get, it's who you become, and sacrifice is the tool that sculpts you into that person. When the world says, take the easy road, you say, I choose growth. When others say, don't work so hard, you say, I'm building something bigger than comfort. When they say, it's not worth it, you say, watch me prove it is. That's the mindset of someone who understands sacrifice, someone who refuses to let convenience dictate their destiny, someone who knows that the temporary pain of sacrifice is nothing compared to the lifelong pride of success. You must be relentless, not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. Sacrifice sharpens you. It purifies your priorities. It forces you to confront who you are and who you want to become. It strips away the unnecessary so you can focus on what matters. And that clarity is priceless. In a world full of noise, distraction, and endless options, sacrifice is what centers you. It keeps you grounded in your purpose, focused on your mission, loyal to your vision. You're not just working for a goal, you're building a legacy, one decision at a time, one sacrifice at a time, and that legacy will outlive you. Your children, your community, your future self will thank you for the decisions you made today. They'll thank you for the early mornings, the tough calls, the missed parties, the lonely hours, because those sacrifices are building something bigger than a moment. They're building a movement, and every movement begins with someone willing to give up comfort to pursue conviction. You were not born to live average. You were not designed to drift. You were made to lead, to build, to create, and that calling requires sacrifice. The question is not whether you're worthy of success. The question is, are you willing to pay what it costs? Because success is not selective. It is responsive. It responds to effort. It responds to consistency. It responds to sacrifice. If you're willing to give what it takes, you will receive what it gives. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but if you stay the course, the reward will find you. This isn't about impressing others. It's about respecting yourself. It's about knowing that you didn't just talk about dreams, you live them. You didn't just imagine the life you wanted. You created it with your hands, with your choices, with your sacrifice. And that's the kind of story that inspires the world. That's the kind of life that means something. Because when you get to the end of your journey, you won't remember the comfort, you'll remember the courage. You won't remember the easy days, you'll remember the moments when you chose purpose over pleasure. Vision over validation, sacrifice over safety. Keep going, keep sacrificing, keep believing, because success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who work, and the ones who are willing to give the most get the most. So here you are standing at the edge of a life you've only imagined, and what separates you from it is not talent, not luck, not permission from the world. What separates you is sacrifice. What you are willing to give up today to build the tomorrow you deserve. What you are willing to let go of so you can rise up into who you are meant to be. And as the world watches, some cheering, some doubting, most not paying attention, you must remember that this journey is not for them. It's for you. It's your story, your mission, your legacy. The applause may come later, but the effort must come now, because this is your defining moment, not the day you win, but the day you choose to keep going. Not the day you're praised, but the day you push through in silence. That's where greatness is born. Not in the spotlight, but in the shadows of hard work. So take a breath, look forward, and take the next step. Sacrifice is the bridge. Success is the destination, and you are the one willing to cross it.